Hi, Brian. What is bungee boarding? Bungee boarding? Bungee boarding is a new way to skateboard, snowboard, skimboard, and just about every other kind of sports boarding there is available. Now, what bungee boarding is an elastic bungee attachment that attaches usually to the center of the board. And then at the other end is a handle for the rider to pull up and keep themselves attached to the board without bindings or using their feet to stay attached to the board. For one example, bungee snowboarding is a great iteration of my new product. Traditionally, with a snowboard, you have bindings, and the bindings keep your feet secure to the board without being able to move or change the configuration of your feet on the board. With a bungee snowboard, you take the bindings off, and now using the bungee attachment to keep yourself to the board, you can now move your feet in all sorts of different ways that allow the rider to really customize their riding experience. Also allowing the rider to do new tricks and training that were never available without this attachment. Now, with bungee skateboarding, the same tools apply. You attach the bungee device, allowing a rider to do what's called an ollie, which is very important to a lot of skateboarders, which is a 360 turnaround in the air. Now, this might take years for a beginning skateboarder to do, but with the bungee attachment, you can do this trick within months. The learning curve is greatly reduced. Now, the bungee attachment can now also be applied to what a lot of you might be seeing out there in public, which is a one wheel, which is a skateboard, which is one wheel in the middle, powered by a battery, so you don't have to propel yourself. And it is a really exciting new way to skateboard. But it also has a high learning curve, even for experienced riders, unless you attach the bungee device, which is not true intrusive, but allows the rider to gain stability and also the ability to do tricks and maneuvers that were not available to the rider without the bungee attachment. The bungee attachment can also be used in surfing and in skimboarding, and also another new board that's been seen out in public, a flow board, which is where you're standing forward on the board, being propelled by a battery, electronic device that propels you. And this is a really hard board to learn. It's called the flow board. And with the bungee attachment, the flow board becomes a lot easier and simpler to use. And so what has happened is over the last 10 years, there have been many people trying to use my bungee boarding name, where you could go on YouTube and put in bungee boarding and see other products, which is a company called Banshee Bungee, but their device is like a slingshot device where you use the bungee attached to a fixed object, then letting go of the energy, like pulling on a rubber band, and it propelling you forward. This is an unsafe and also has hurt a lot of people. But what I'm doing is I am usurping them and taking that iteration as well and putting that part of my bungee boarding brand family product umbrella. Although I'm not really wanting to promote it that much because it's a company that tried to steal my bungee boarding name. The product is applicable and it is an interesting new innovation, but it is nowhere near my innovation, the original innovation of bungee boarding, where the bungee is attached to the board and used to hold the rider on, to train the rider, and provide the rider with new and exciting tricks that could never be done without this bungee boarding device. Now, also, the bungee boarding device, the bungee itself, is easily detachable. So you could use it to do new tricks, to do training, to find out new amazing ways to do boarding, but then you could also easily take it off and return to the traditional style of boarding that you're using. So that is a big point that I wanted to make about this product. and that now I am planning to launch it in either North Korea, Indonesia, or Iran. All these countries are becoming more Western um, style countries. They're getting rid of their authoritative governments, and the first thing you're going to see is the kids and the young people wanting to do Western things like skateboarding. And I am wanting to relaunch bungee boarding because of all the negativity and market saturation that's happened here in America. That in these other countries, there's not the jaded feeling and the oversaturation of the market. So now what I'm planning to do is start manufacturing bungee boards in Indonesia, and then make it available to kids in North Korea. By next year, I'm hoping that the North Korean market will be open to bungee boarding in all other markets. We're hoping, and in Tehran, Iran, Persia, where they're as we talking now, the people of Iran are getting rid of their authoritative government. Where right now you cannot skateboard or do any kind of board sporting without fear of getting in trouble in Iran. And so what I've also done is I've gone to the Olympic Committee, who has now made skateboarding part of their Summer Olympics, skateboarding and BMX bike riding is now part of the Summer Olympics. I have contacted the Olympic Committee and presented my bungee boarding concept, iteration, invention to them, and they really, really like it. And what they have told me is it will take 10 years of professional competition with the bungee board, and then I could submit it to the Olympic Committee to make it an Olympic sport. And I think that's really possible. And knowing now that skateboarding, and for the next 10 years you're going to see Summer Olympics, which is only really two more Olympics into the future, that skateboarding will be promoted and I think really enjoyed by people who like the Olympics. Because snowboarding in the Winter Olympics is now become the biggest, most promoted sport in the Olympics. When snowboarding, 10 years ago, was almost kind of vilified and considered, like rogue people were only doing it. It wasn't respected, and now it is fully respected. And I think, and I know, bungee boarding in 10 years or less will have that same status with the Olympics and all around the world, because of all the different iterations and training and all the new things that it can provide to the rider. So that's bungee boarding that you can look up on YouTube, where you'll see the other product that I spoke to you about, this Banshee Bungee Company, that tried to steal my bungee boarding name and had to change their name to Banshee Bungee because I stopped them in court. There used to be a bungee board in Toys R Us. That wasn't my company, and I had to have thrown out, and a bungee board on Amazon that I had to throw out. So it's clearly a viable product, a product that has value and interest to the young people, and will only gain more as the real company, my company, comes out and produces the real bungee boards, real bungee snowboards, real bungee skateboards, real bungee flow boards, real bungee one-wheel boards. And so I'm very excited about that. And I'm hoping that, so that's, yeah, on YouTube, that's where you can go see, you'll put in BUNGEEX boarding, and then you could pretty much bring up most of my exclusive product. If you put just bungee boarding into YouTube, you'll get this other company and product that I do not promote, but I am now currently in the process of stealing back their idea and putting it into my bungee boarding family. So I hope this video is satisfactory to some extent for my assignment. My name is Bryan Kovacs. I'm promoting bungee boarding. Bungee Export is my trademark, and the sport of bungee boarding, which will become a new and exciting way to do sports boarding for everyone that is interested in the sport. And thank you very much.